Hey guys, welcome back. It's Dave. I just wanted to share a new grid that I added to our pace progression grid download page. It's already there. It's titled Belmont Week Grids, and what I did was I titled them Belmont Week Grids because these are the grids I'm going to use for Belmont this weekend. I just want to show you a little bit how what they're comprised of. I started doing race 4. I have it Saratoga because that's where it's held this year, Belmont at Saratoga. I want to show you the different portions of the grid. Okay, the first portion of the grid is actually just a normal single pace line dealing with the ratings not affected by the Briz figures. So, for example, if we had if this is a sprint race, if we had a 23, that'd be a 95. And let's say the second call was a 46, would be a 90. And then we do our math for our turn, which is 5 difference, which is 95. This section over here is just your Briz speed, or I'm sorry, Briz pace figure. So I'm just throwing numbers out there. Let's say we had a 88 and an 84. And your TC1, thorough capping 1 rating is just reflection of the 1C and 2C without being affected by the Briz pace numbers. And then your 2C, or your TC2 is actually taking into account the Briz numbers here. Now, the third column here is for the race shapes. And let's say the race shape here was a minus 3 and a -1. Okay, and again, those are little numbers here. One's first call, second call, tells you how slow the race was run or how fast the race was run at that particular call. And then we have what we have here is we have a third TC rating that takes into account these race shape numbers. So it takes the TC2, applies the race shape numbers, and gives us a new thorough capping rating right there. And then over here we have our final fraction late pace. Nothing new. So let's say the final fraction was a 75 rating. Or 77, let's make it. And then let's say it's a 81. The late pace rating from Briz. Now we have our final fraction late pace average from these two. And we also now have a turn / final fraction average taking into account this number here and this number right here, which tells you how the horse did in the second, well, if it's a sprint, the last 2/3 of the race, from the start of the turn to the finish. Then we have a TC4. And the TC4, thorough capping 4 rating, takes the TC3 and takes into account the turn and final fraction rating to come up with that. Then we have our matrix system section of the grid. I kept this very simple. All we're looking at is we're looking at target ratings, ability ratings, and the target ability average is just averaging these two out. Okay, so as usual, anything in bold is formulated, and it's already going to do the math for you. Then we move over to the right. I also have a little grid for running styles. Manually enter them. And I also have a grid for class drops. So if there's no class droppers in this particular race, I started doing race 4, like I said. There's no class droppers over here. If there are, what I would do is I would just put an X. And that would tell me that we have an early speed who's dropping in class. I also shaded this E because what I did was I took a look at all the horses that have had the lead. And the 7 horse here has the top, off its last race, has the top halftime at a 44.3. So I shaded him as, as a potential horse on the lead. But we do have a few other horses that are horses that like to be on the lead, and they're only off by a tick. We have a 44.4 there, and I think we have another 44.4 up here. Yeah. So we really technically could shade all 3 of them, which I will do since, again, this is the start of the actual me handicapping this race, so I might go and forget that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, take into account, once I have all my figures, I'm going to take into account that there could be a lot of pressure up front in this race. So that's a 6 horse too. Even though the 6 horse is listed as an EP, he may want to sit back a little off the pace. Let me get that out of there. And then as you look over here, this is our summary grid. Okay, we don't have to worry about now the raw data. Okay, the raw data was already entered. Now we can look at our main columns, our TC1, TC2, TC3, final fraction late pace, turn final fraction, TC4, and then TC5 is the TC4 averaged out with the target ability rating, giving us 5 thorough capping ratings and 2 ratings, internal type ratings, the final fraction. And then what happens is I would do my analysis or my evaluation over here. So once this is all populated, this is where I would color my top, my second, my third, and fourth over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry over the top 4 into here. So this is my selections grid right here. So let's say, for example, the TC1, the 4 had the top one, 4, 2, 3, 6. And let's say TC2 was also 4, but let's say it was 3, 5, 6. So what I'll do is I'll have a consensus over here based on the summary grid and the way that it's colored based on the top 4 in each category. And then I'll obviously do my own eyeball like I always do. Okay. I will take into account, again, there's pressure in this race early on. So I may lean toward somebody who shows better figures over here late, final fraction and turn and so forth. So TC1, 2, and 3 are really a reflection of the early part of the race. Okay, up to the second call. But one is no adjustment based on Briz pace. The TC2 is adjusted based on the Briz pace. And TC3 is actually adjusted based on the race shape numbers. When we get down here to 4 and 5, that's when we're taking into account the late part of the race, as well as the target and ability, the matrix section as well. So what I'll do is when I finish this Belmont card, this is Saturday only, I'm not doing Friday. When I finish this Belmont card, by the end of the week, I'm going to do what I did with the Derby and the Preakness. I'm going to post a quick video showing you the link for the slideshow, and I'll have a slideshow for you guys to look at. All right? Talk to you soon.